Yep, us crazy Green Divas are still here.
Reinventing ourselves yet again.
Now we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube.
You can find our videos and podcasts on all the usual places.
Still sharing low-stress ways
of living a deeper shade of green.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Green Diva Show. I'm Green Diva Meg.
And I'm Green Diva Lisa.
And happy spring. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Finally, we have some warm weather and we're seeing little things growing in our first guests from the garden.
Yeah. And I love those hyacinths. Talk about popping peas. Those hyacinths are amazing.
Yeah. They have a great scent to them.
That's hard to say.
Hyacinths. Plural.
Hyacinth. Probably making Liv crazy, right? So first I want to apologize for missing a week, but I had to just literally get in the car and run down to North Carolina.
Right.
To welcome my newest grandson who came a little early.
Born on my birthday, and
Milo James Little. And he's so cute. He's the little.
He's a little.
He's the little. And it's funny because I nicknamed him Little. And when we went to the doctor, the first baby visit, the doctor said, "Oh, it's little." So I'm not the only one.
Okay, so you're not as clever as you thought then.
I know. So while Mary was pregnant, she was working, but she still had time on her hands. And
during the pandemic, of course.
Yeah, well, right. We all had.
Mm-hmm.
So she taught herself how to embroider. Now, this is one thing here. You can see the heart on the front. Wait till you see the back. Here comes a picture. And then she made a bag and another T-shirt. And I'm like, honey, you could totally make a living doing this. But now, of course, Little's here.
She's going to be busy with the new baby.
So anyway, that's what I've been doing for a couple of weeks. And it's really nice to be back in the saddle at GD Ponderosa Studios.
And I'm glad you're back because I was on dog duty and they have a 100-pound puppy.
Yeah, he got big.
A Great Pyrenees who's 100 pounds of pure out of control puppy. And while he is adorable, I'm pretty happy not getting up early in the morning to let him out and go for a walk. Oh yeah,
she did the early morning chicken and dog duty that Wayne usually does. So, well, speaking of flowers, I know today we're going to talk in our segment about how to prepare for climate change. One of the things we're talking about is how to prepare your gardening.
What to grow. You know,
Right.
when you're making choices about the future and protecting yourself if we get into a place where food is hard for us to get to. I'll be talking about from David Pogue with some recommendations from him about what to grow and how to put it up, meaning preserve it or store it.
There's a couple of surprises in there.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that when we get there.
And then we have a GD's at home segment all about exercising at home. Even though we're allowed to go out, a lot more people are going back to gyms.
I'm not ready to do that myself quite yet.
No.
And the other thing is, now that I've been putting on some of the clothes that I have for warmer weather, and they're not fitting the same way as they did last spring. So I'm more determined to exercise. So we have some ideas about exercising at home.
Yay. She's a little fitness freak. So now you did some homework. You found an interesting article that we're going to talk about here.
Well, I did. I have been thinking about some of the crap that's been sold in a lot of stores. I don't know about you, but when I go into a store now, with all that I know and all that I can't unknow, I go into stores like discount dollar stores, those kind of places, and I go aisle to aisle and there's nothing I want because all I see and smell are toxins. And it's not just the plastics that are sold, but it's also the
chemicals,
cosmetics and the cleaning products and all of those things. And there's been a lot of talk about that. And a lot of stores have actually done better than they had been doing before. Even some of the dollar stores.
Yeah, I mean, groups like Mom's Clean Air Force and Momavation and other organizations have really done a lot through social media campaigns to push companies. I think like Walgreens and CVS. I can't remember. There was one about a drugstore asking them to take something toxic off the shelf. I should have done my homework on that before, but at any rate, there's been several items that they have had some success in pushing companies in removing.
So now there is, I found this site. It's called Retailer Report Card. And you can click on all the icons of particular retail stores and find out how well they are doing and how much better. So the thing that's really disturbing is that these places are often in communities that are low income, or and those are the people that already are living near the places that a lot of this stuff is made.
Right. They're already compromised in terms of toxic environment.
Right. They're living next to these industrial facilities or oil refineries that are using the petroleum that they produce to make these things. Oh, so I'm disturbed about that. And I want to talk more about it. I want to learn more about it and talk more about it. And
well, I think you got inspired. We were talking about kind of updating our discussion on greenwashing. And
that's a whole show.
But I think that's you kind of stumbled upon this, which is a newer concept. It's been flying under we've talked about the iniquities and, environmental justice issues and equality, but in communities that are getting kind of pooped on a lot more than others. And this is just one of those things that we really haven't paid enough attention to.
No, I got a Facebook message from an old high school buddy that was kind of poo-pooing the racism noise around here. And I'm like, are you kidding me, man? Racism is right there in our faces. How do you think that that's not happening?
I know.
Anymore?
Right. Because he's probably a white guy.
Well, he is.
As it turns out.
So, yeah, we got to pay attention and we got to make things better.
So before we move on to these awesome segments we're going to give you today, I just want to say thank you for all those who have listened and watched and subscribed and reached out to us on social media. We really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, I'm hoping that you will now. And share us up with your friends. You can find us at The Green Divas pretty much everywhere.
That's THE, greendivas.com. It never gets old, does it?
Yeah, right.
Anyway, yes, please do me a favor. Think of one person that you think might enjoy this and share it with them.
Thanks. So this segment is part of our series that we're doing from David Pogue's book, How to Prepare for Climate Change. And this week we thought we would dive a little bit into what to grow as the climate changes. And, apparently the growing zones are changing.
Exactly. And there's we'll show a link on our website where to find some maps and things to look at that. But yes, it's that time of year, so we are thinking about gardening. And we might, based on some of the things that I've learned from David, think a little differently about what we're going to grow. So can you say peanuts?
That is the weirdest thing that never occurred to me, that peanuts would be one of those things we would consider like a survival food.
Right. They're easy to grow. And of course, if you play trivia games, you know that peanuts are a legume and not a nut. So they are full of protein and they're easy to store. They store up to a year or so. And
who doesn't love peanuts?
I know. So the other things are dried beans. Now, I've never grown dried beans myself. I'm probably going to do a little bit of it. Just to try it, just to see how that is. And of course, they're full of protein and antioxidants and fiber, and they're easy to grow and store. And they also are good at restoring the nitrogen in the soil. So,
well, you know what they say about beans. Beans, they're good for your heart.
Right. And they do, by the way, store for a number of years. You don't have to.
And all this comes in, David talks about how to create a survival garden. Because there are times when we may need to be relying on ourselves for food, ourselves and neighbors in our communities, smaller gardens, and like the Victory Garden concept, right?
Absolutely.
I think the more that we do, the less, hopefully we can become less dependent on these industrial, farms.
Yes.
Right?
And which are, of course, we'll eat less toxins and pour less toxins into our water systems and all of that.
Right.
And we'll eat healthier. That's the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
Keep ourselves healthy and our planet healthy.
We can be
So
less
there's a lot of
polluted.
things that I'll highlight on the website and that are really in this book that we love. There's just root vegetables and winter squash
pulses.
and the ways.
I didn't even know the term pulse. I really never.
So those are like chickpeas and lentils and peas, which can also be dried and
Pulses?
stored.
Really? Seriously? How could I have never learned that term?
I don't know.
Where have I been?
I don't know.
I really don't love those things. I can see why.
That's probably why. But they are very healthy for you and they're easy to store. And green beans you can grow and freeze or pickle.
Ooh, did you taste my pickle? My refrigerator.
I did.
What are they called? Dilly pickles.
Dilly pickle.
Dilly beans.
Dilly beans. And then, of course, tomatoes. Now, this year, instead of canning tomatoes, we froze our tomatoes. And we haven't even made sauce from them yet. So
I know, but we talked about it this weekend. Like, we have to get on
we have
that.
to have a little rainy day, sauce making day. And then root vegetables, which all you have to do is dust them off, put them in a crate, and put them in a place that's as cool as you can find without freezing.
Wayne was so excited to buy the wooden crates that so we could do our root cellar. He was obsessed with it, actually.
Yeah.
He was.
So, and that stuff should last pretty much through the winter. And then there's the winter squash that you grow, like butternut squash or acorn squash. That stuff will sit in your house for 3 months. And then if you don't use them by then, you can process them by cutting them into cubes. And I like to roast mine before I freeze them, but you can freeze them without cooking them first. And then you always have them handy for the things you want to cook. And they're full of vitamin A and C and all of that. So the next step after you grow your wonderful garden is, what do you do with everything? And
so also, if you don't have a yard, there's container gardening, and you can do an awful lot in containers. I mean, I've done container gardening because the house we lived in, Booton, the deer would eat everything if we didn't have it up on the deck. And
yeah, well, when I lived in Philadelphia, and I'll show you some pictures, I did a whole roof deck garden, and all of those were in containers. And I had lots of flowers, but I also had tomatoes and herbs and lots of stuff. So yes, you can do that as well. And then there's some different ways of managing that. The upside of climate change is that many areas, of course, have a longer growing time. And that means that a lot of the starting times are as much as 2 weeks sooner than they were before.
I have noticed that.
So we talked about, your thing was our grandmother's birthday.
May 10th.
May 10th. And I'm feeling like we could probably at least do May 1st or maybe even very end of April. So
probably.
Which is what we did last year. I think we did it just at the cusp of April and May. And then the downside, of course, is potentially longer growing seasons gives you a false spring. And sometimes you'll get buds and things coming up, and then you'll get a frost after that. So the solution to that is have some fabric nearby, throw a sheet on it or whatever, and they'll be fine until the frost is gone. And then, but the other thing is pests. So bugs are enjoying warmer weather as well.
Yeah, guess it's good for some bugs.
Yeah, some of them are not only creating one generation, but because they're starting sooner, and some of them get to create a second generation.
Really?
Really. And not only that second generation can be larger because they haven't had a winter that killed off some of them.
Oh, it does sound like it's becoming a pest.
It does.
Pest world.
Right. So there's some of the things you can do to prevent that are some of the things you plant in your garden next to your vegetables, which would be flowers, which
Okay.
we had lots of. And I actually can show pictures of that as well.
Yeah, we
But
can.
we have marigolds and zinnias and verbena. There's a whole list that I'll put on the website. And the other thing is don't clean your mulch up.
Right.
Instead of digging and upsetting all the microbes that have grown during the winter and when things are decomposing, you want to just leave your mulch there, and you can move it aside to plant. That's what I'm going to do. I've got leaf mulch on our garden that isn't completely decomposed, so I'm going to move some aside gently. I'm going to add some compost that we grew all winter, and maybe a little fertilizer, and then plant our plants or the seeds, and then gently move the mulch back and let it continue to decompose, which will keep adding to the nutrients in the soil. So anyway, there's lots of mulch. There's a whole bunch of information about mulching and the things you can do and not do. And heat's going to potentially be a problem in the future.
Right. Drought, heat.
Yeah.
Too much rain in some cases.
Too much rain, too much water, or not enough water. So there's a lot of things that I highlight there about mulching and no-tilling. And
so you mentioned before the importance of putting up or, canning or freezing and finding a way to maximize, because sometimes there just seems like it's an overabundance and things go rotten or they don't get eaten or thrown away or they get recomposted.
There are some fabulous YouTube videos or websites that talk about how to can things. And of course, freezing is always a good opportunity. Even with herbs, what I did I had lots of herbs left over at the end of the summer. And before it froze, I cut the herbs down. I chopped them up finely. I put them in ice trays with a little bit of water and then made cubes and then popped the cubes into plastic bags. I've been using pretty much fresh frozen herbs from the garden all winter long.
Yeah, that really does work. So a lot of this information, so much more about this, how to grow for climate change, is in David Pogue's book.
Mm-hmm.
Are you feeling sluggish, weighed down, or mindlessly eating and in need of new healthy habits? Well, who isn't? The groundbreaking 5-day Prolon fasting mimicking diet is so much more than a diet. It's a whole new way of approaching nutrition and life through fasting. Prolon triggers your body's natural rejuvenation process from within. You'll feel lighter, improve your energy and mental clarity, lose weight and belly fat, and reduce your food cravings. And when you do multiple consecutive rounds of Prolon, you'll rejuvenate your cells, which support healthy aging. It's the only nutrition program in the world that mimics a fast. The tasty, specially designed gluten-free, plant-based food keeps you in a fasting state. Over 20 years in the making and developed by the prestigious University of Southern California Longevity Institute and the National Institutes of Health, it's redefined what fasting means. You eat, your body fasts. Ready, set, rejuvenate with Prolon. So Gigi's at home. Lisa did some research and thought, well, we do exercise a lot at home, but she came up with some good ideas because some of us need it.
I know my clothing wasn't fitting quite the same, so I'm still busy. So the first thing about exercising at home is not looking for the time to exercise, but making the time to exercise. And sometimes that helps if you find an exercise buddy. And if you are on your own at home, you can sometimes do exercises with your friends online. You can video each other, or you can start something together and check in with each other at the end. So there's a lot of ways to do that where you
We're lucky because we go out walking together, or we even in our little yoga studio we do stuff together.
Oh yeah. And so what we're doing, what we've gotten ourselves some exercise equipment, which actually is easy to find these days used in your Facebook
I actually
marketplace
got these
or from friends.
Two things from a friend who was giving them away, and they're like brand new and wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I bought this year was the rebounder. So we have a exercycle and a rowing machine and a rebounder.
Well, I don't get the rebounder, but
you'll have to come and try it out.
I know.
I haven't moved it into our yoga studio.
She's not sharing yet.
I have to watch a movie when I do it because
I get it.
Anyway, but those are really good things, and also videos on YouTube. So for a while, before I had the rebounder, I was doing dance for cardio, and I felt so silly. I was dancing to hip hop songs that I've never heard before. Probably my granddaughter listens to this music.
Yeah,
and I didn't want to be
not
seen.
that coordinated. And the last time I did a dance exercise video, it was a disaster. Put it that way. I'm like such a dork, really.
Well, I did notice, I'm kind of a dork myself. I did notice that after a while, I was able to follow better, which I didn't expect. The first couple times I did, I thought, oh my God, thank the Lord nobody's watching. But the other thing then I've also been doing is yoga. And I will put a plug in for Yoga with Adrienne on YouTube. The first time I turned her on, she had about 4 million followers. The next time I turned her on, she had 9 or 10 million.
Wow.
So I'm not the only one that likes her. She just has a really gentle vibe, and you can pick your amount of time you want to do yoga. And I, of course, always feel better after doing it. So that's my story. My next purchase for exercising is going to be an e-bike.
Wow.
I'm going to get an electric bike.
That'll be fun. I know. We saw someone, we were down in North Carolina on the beach in the cold rain and wind, and it was not exactly warm. But we went on the beach every day, and they rent bikes with the big fat tires that you can either ride in snow or on a beach, and they were all e-bikes. And I thought, wow, that looks really fun.
Yeah, and the one I borrowed from somebody was not the big fat tires. It had solid tires on and for the road. And you're still moving, you're still participating. You can participate as much as you want or as little as you want.
On those big hills like our driveway.
If you have the battery time. And just that assist is just enough to make you not worried about being too far from home and being exhausted. So I'm inspired.
Well, I think one of the most important things that for me has been is to find things that I enjoy doing. Of course. It has to be fun. And what I do is I pick like a series that usually it's one I rewatch, and I look forward, and I don't allow myself to watch an episode until I'm exercising.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So I kind of look forward, like, I want to see what's happening next.
So when I pick something to watch, I pick things that are harder for me to watch when I'm sitting alone, relaxed at night, and don't want to be scared or tense. And these are things, I'm very protective of myself. I'm kind of a weenie. And these are shows that are harder to watch, but easier to watch when I'm exercising.
Right. You kind of just tune that out.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Yeah, it's funny. I tried audiobooks and I couldn't, that didn't work. And music, sometimes I enjoy music, but
it helps get you, if the right beat's there, it can inspire you.
And of course, going outside into the woods is my favorite thing.
Me too.
Which is challenging. I mean, we had a challenging season because there was so much snow. And then it became like slushy, and then it froze, and then there was dog poop like everywhere. What the hell?
People, come on.
I don't think I've ever seen it like that. It was literally like you couldn't not step on dog poop. It was really weird. And then,
And now it's bear season. All the bears are waking up with their babies. So
it's always something. But at any rate, find what makes you happy and energizes you and
then
do it.
Do it. Yeah.
All right. Well, so that's our show this week.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else that we need to tell our people?
Well, we're getting ready for Earth Day. That's coming up pretty soon.
Oh, yeah.
But just to say, every day is Earth Day.
Well, of course, every day is Earth Day, but let's tell the people about our little promo. Maybe they'll have time to do a video for us, right? So we're doing a fun, special Earth Day show, although every day is Earth Day.
It should be.
So we're inviting you to participate by sending us a video of yourself telling us what gives you hope for the future, especially after this crazy COVID year, and up to 30 seconds, and we'd love to include it in our fun video. The deadline would be April 15th, and you can send it to info@thegreendivas.com.
That's greendivas.com.
So do it. Tell us what gives you hope for the future. We want to know. In the meantime, have a great green week. So, what'd you think?
Let us know.
And in the meantime, follow our YouTube channel. Follow the Green Divas on Instagram, Facebook, all the usual social media hangouts. And now you can ask your smart speaker to play the Green Divas podcast.
And I have a favor. Please share this with your friends. Thanks in advance.